This is bcd-W Current Weekend Edition, Sim Eternal City. I'm Paul. I wrote a book in Colombia about how to tell the story of a future city. It came out in May. That same month, I passed through New York Design Week and landed in Jeju. And the first thing I saw here wasn't a city. It was something slightly larger, a city-state. That was not what I came for. Since then, I've listened to the problems people raise on this island and watched the solutions they propose. People are leaving, the young don't stay, houses empty out, tourists come, the money doesn't stay. There's surplus electricity and a narrow path off the island. The Jeju are disappearing. Every diagnosis was accurate, every solution was diligent, and every one of them went wrong at the same point. Here is the point. The moment you place Jeju as a part of South Korea, every problem here gets automatically translated. Population becomes regional decline. Industry becomes local revitalization. Energy becomes grid interconnection. And translated problems arrive with a fixed menu, subsidies, corporate attraction, festivals, special zones, publicity. These aren't bad tools, but every one of them is designed to help a lagging periphery catch up with a center. And a solution built on catching up puts the goal outside. If Jeju has to catch up with Seoul, Seoul defines success. What gets lost in translation isn't policy. It's the subject of the sentence. Now read the problem list again. Superaging, youth outflow, surplus renewable energy, empty houses, tourism overload, waste with nowhere to go. Knowledge vanishing before anyone writes it down. That is not the problem list of a backward province. That is the list city-states will meet, one by one, through the 2040s. Jeju is living all of it right now, at the same time, inside a boundary you can actually draw. Let me give you three numbers. Jeju's population peaked in August 2022 and then fell for 35 months straight. It's now around 662,000. In 2025, 54% of everyone who left was in their 20s, 2,298 people. And the Jeju, the women who dive, in 1965, there were 23,000 of them. At the end of last year, 2,371, 63% are over 70. Their average annual income is less than half the minimum cost of living. That last number is the one I keep returning to, because the Jeju are not a heritage problem. They are a working system of self-governed resource limits, deciding how much to take and where to leave alone, that has run for a very long time and is now ending inside a single generation. Every city-state on Earth is trying to design exactly that system. Jeju has it and is watching it go. In epidemiology, there's a name for a sample like this: the early onset cohort, not behind, first. And an early onset cohort is an object of study before it's an object of treatment. That's the hinge of this whole episode. Read Jeju as a province, and it's a place that needs support. Read it as an early onset cohort, and it's a place the world needs to learn from. So what would it take to be a test bed? Three things. Boundary, because an experiment has to be measured, and measurement needs edges. On the mainland, people and money cross freely, and you can never isolate what worked. On an island, you can count the doors. Scale, big enough that results transplant, small enough that failure is survivable. 660,000 people is right in that window. And precedent, 1100 years ago, Tamna negotiated with the outside world under its own name. That matters, not because of nostalgia, but because a society that has defined itself before can change frames faster than one that never has. I want to be clear about something. This is not an argument for independence. It's not about administrative status at all. It's about the unit of description. When Jeju describes its problems in the language of a city-state instead of the language of a province, the people on the other end of the conversation change. And when they change, the menu of solutions changes with them. Which brings me to the last thing and the most important one. A test bed needs someone commissioning the test. If Jeju experiments alone, that's a Jeju project. But if 6 city-states send the problems they can't solve at home to be tested here, that's infrastructure. Singapore has no room to fail. The whole country is a system in production. And superaging arrives in the 2030s. Tallinn built a way to count citizens outside its own territory, but it never got below the tax layer into actual community. Dubai runs enormous regulatory sandboxes, but every data point comes from desert and flat ground and new construction. Amsterdam has fought tourism overload longer than anyone and admitted failure more honestly than anyone, because when you regulate, tourists just move past the boundary. Nairobi is the inverse curve. Young people pouring in, grid that doesn't reach, so they skipped a generation into off-grid and mobile money. And Tokyo met all of this first and watched national policy fail at it for 20 years, with results only ever showing up at city and village scale. Every one of those cities has something Jeju doesn't, and every one of them needs something Jeju has. When both sides have something to trade, it isn't aid, it's collaboration. And in that moment, Jeju stops being a place that needs help and becomes a place that is needed. That's what was missing from every solution I saw here. They all faced inward. They all asked what could be brought in. None of them asked what could be given out. As long as Jeju is a province, its problems are costs. The moment it becomes a testbed, the same problems become assets. This has been bcd-W Current Weekend Edition, Sim Eternal City. One city, one story, many views.